Okay, the test tomorrow isn't very long. It's just on parallel and perpendicular lines. So remember, parallel lines have the same slope.
Yes.
Perpendicular lines,
Opposite slope. Exactly.
they have negative reciprocal slopes. It's negative reciprocal because negative means opposite. So like if one slope is 5/4, the other one would be negative 4/5. Okay? So the first part,
What do you want me to put away, weirdo?
Oh, let me think. It was back in
Everybody else
98.
has balls.
I was in Nam. Crazy shit happened.
Damn right.
Nam?
I was.
You would have been Nam! I just saw this thing.
okay, if you're given two lines,
Fake.
given the equation of two lines, you need to say whether these two lines are parallel,
Or
perpendicular,
Or neither.
or neither. Okay, so all you got to do is look at the slopes. This slope is 2, this is 1/2. So that means it's not parallel because they're not the same.
Neither.
But it isn't, they are reciprocals, 2 and 1/2, but they're not opposites. So this is neither. Here the slopes are exactly the same.
parallel.
So you can write the word or you can just put the symbol, parallel. This one, right. The slopes are both 1 and one's negative, one's positive. 1 is the only number that's a reciprocal of itself. So this one is perpendicular. And again, you can just put the symbol. So this one, perpendicular. They're reciprocals and they're opposites. So that part should be easy, right? Okay.
I got like a whole box for free.
That's great. A whole box.
When you gave it to me.
Full.
Yeah, she's pretty cute.
She's a babe. Oh my
Because I told you, I was like, that's Spragger. That's Spragger likes you. She's like, well,
god. She wants to go out with you. You're talking shit, dude.
I seen her yesterday.
Lucky.
Why is lucky?
I was like,
I'd love to see her in person.
You're so funny, creepy.
What?
like,
I've never seen her before. Not in person. Or no,
let's see her.
no.
She goes, maybe she used to when she was younger. I don't know. She's Chris's first cousin.
Just come on up. Come on up.
Your sister really was
What?
covered it up.
What? I can't hear you.
I was trying to look at it.
Herpes?
No, I don't get herpes.
Oh.
Be true to you.
Huh? I still can't hear you.
Never mind.
Rima does?
She's a teacher.
Oh, Rima does have a hickey.
It's you.
Wait, so Rima
Okay.
does or you?
So, quiet. Hey. So to tell, this is the same thing, you got to say whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. It's just looking at the graph. So what you got to check to see if they're parallel. Slope. So this slope rises 3 and runs 2.
Neither.
This one rises 3 and runs 2. So these two lines are parallel. This slope here goes down 1, 2, 3 and over 1. This one goes up 1 and over 3.
Yes.
So that is perpendicular. They're opposites and they're reciprocals. Here, this goes up 4 and over 3. This one goes up 1, 2, 3 and a half and over
No,
2.
neither.
So that's neither. Now, every year I give this test, and I say this to every class, and hopefully you will be the first class ever.
There's no such thing.
There's always at least one person
Screws up.
that will look at this and say they're perpendicular, or they'll look at this and say they're parallel. Okay? Now, I've never been able to figure out why. You must just be randomly putting down answers. Because could these possibly be parallel?
Oh.
Could these possibly be perpendicular? Okay, so hopefully you'll be the first class. There's always at least a couple that mess that up.
Why would we even think that?
Okay. Quiet. So, finding the slope that passes through 2 points.
Y 2 minus Y 1.
Yes, so slope, remember, is just the y minus y over the x minus x. So you need to remember that. The y's go on top. It's easy to mess that up and put the x's on top. So these points are alphabetical, x, y, x, y. So the slope, when you subtract, it doesn't matter which y you start with. I'm going to subtract this way, but you could do it backwards. So 7 take away 4 would be 3.
3.
And then x minus x is negative 5. So make sure you do the y's on top. If I would have did this backwards, if I would have went 4 minus 7 this way, I would have got negative 3. 2 take away negative 3 is positive 5. You get the same answer, it's just the negatives on top instead of the bottom. So that's why it doesn't matter which y you start with. But if I start with this y and subtract that one, I gotta start with this x and subtract that one. So you gotta subtract them both the same way.
Hot tamale, I'm sweating.
You see what Dylan did?
Sorry.
You guys Dylan threw the dildo on the field. Hey, Tom Brady dropped the ball there.
This is random things. Dude, guess what? I got paid $105 on Saturday for what? Training. I get paid $16 an hour. 16? Yeah. Yeah, I got paid $105. And guess how much money I have in the wallet right now?
Carter.
20. I spent $85 this year. Food? It was like half and half.
It's a chicken with some sauce. It's a hot chicken.
Like yesterday.
Okay.
I bought 3
Quiet. Then we come to the part where you got to write the equation of the lines. So, it's going to be a couple with the parallel and a couple with the perpendicular. Write the equation of the line parallel to the given line passing through the given point. Okay? So, since it's parallel to this line, they got the same slope. So we know that m is negative 2/5. So that's half of the equation right there. Even if you don't know how to find b, you can write this equation. It's going to be y equals negative 2/5 x plus or minus something. So you can get part of the answer just by doing that. Now to figure out what b is, you use this point. You plug the y in for the y, and if you forget y equals mx plus b, it is up there. So it would be negative 4 equals m times x plus b. So negative 2/5 times 2 is negative 4/5 plus b. So all we gotta do is add 4/5, add 4/5,
3 1/5.
negative 3 and 1/5 is B.
Y equals me.
So, the answer is, shh, quiet, negative 2/5 x, and it would be minus 3 and 1/5. Okay? So, there's a couple of those, and then there's a couple where you do the same thing, except it's gonna be perpendicular to the given line. So, since it's perpendicular, you don't use the same slope.
You do the reciprocal and the opposite.
Right. So we gotta use positive 5/2 for the slope. And you do the same exact thing. We know it's gonna be y equals 5/2 x, because that's m. We gotta figure out what b is. So in y equals mx plus b, we put the negative 4 in for the y, because this is x and that's y. The m we know is 5/2. You can make it a decimal if you want, if you'd rather. 2.5 times the x, which is 2, plus b. So 5/2 times 2, again, if you can't do that, just use a calculator. 5 divided by 2 times 2. The 2's just cancel and you get 5. So then you get rid of the 5, you subtract 5, and you get negative 9 equals b. So the answer is y equals 5/2 x minus 9. And that's the whole test. The first page is saying whether the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. Then you got to find the slope between 2 points. You got to find the equation of the line parallel to a given line. And then find the equation of the line perpendicular to a given line.
Let's go.
Okay? So it's very short.